The day she said it, the world didn't just go silent, it cracked. I was standing in the middle of a sunlit kitchen, the smell of cardamom tea still hanging in the air, when my ex's mother looked straight into my eyes and said, "Stop dating beginners. You need a real lioness." Her words didn't feel like advice. They felt like a verdict. Like I had been weighed, measured, and found lacking. Before we dive deeper into this story, take a moment. If you believe in kindness and second chances, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Verse. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. Her name was Sabine, and she wasn't cruel by nature. She was sharp, observant, the kind of woman who had survived enough to stop sugarcoating the truth. But that day, her honesty cut deeper than anything I had ever heard. My relationship with her daughter, Hira, had just ended the night before. Not with shouting or betrayal, but with exhaustion. The kind that builds slowly when two people keep trying but keep missing each other. I had thought love was enough. I had thought effort was enough. I had thought being good was enough. Apparently, I was wrong. I left that house with a strange heaviness in my chest. The afternoon sun felt too bright, almost mocking. Cars passed by, people laughed somewhere in the distance, life continued as if nothing had happened. But inside me, something had shifted. Her words echoed over and over again, louder with every step. A real lioness. What did that even mean? For weeks, I carried that sentence like a stone in my pocket. I replayed every moment of my relationship with Hira. Every time I hesitated instead of speaking up. Every time I avoided conflict instead of confronting it. Every time I chose comfort over courage. I began to see patterns I had ignored before. I had always dated women who needed reassurance, who leaned on me for emotional stability, who were still figuring themselves out. I told myself I liked being supportive, that I was patient and understanding. But deep down, I realized something uncomfortable. I chose them because it made me feel safe. Because I didn't have to grow too much. Because I could stay in control. Sabine's words weren't just about the women I dated. They were about me. The realization didn't come all at once. It crept in slowly, like morning light through a curtain. I started noticing how I handled challenges at work, how I avoided difficult conversations with friends, how I stayed silent when I should have stood firm. I wasn't as strong as I thought I was. Not emotionally. Not mentally. I wasn't ready for a lioness because I wasn't a lion. That truth hurt more than the breakup itself. Days turned into weeks, and something inside me began to change. Not dramatically, not overnight, but steadily. I started saying things I used to keep inside. I started setting boundaries, even when it made people uncomfortable. I started facing things I used to run from. It wasn't easy. Growth rarely is. There were nights when I questioned everything, when I wondered if I was becoming too harsh, too distant. But then I would remember that kitchen, that moment, that sentence. And I would remind myself that comfort had never made me better. It had only kept me small. One afternoon, months later, I found myself sitting in a quiet park. The sun filtered through the trees, children played nearby, and for the first time in a long time, I felt calm. Not because everything was perfect, but because I was no longer avoiding myself. That's when I met Meher. She wasn't loud or overly confident. She didn't try to impress anyone. But there was something about her presence, steady, grounded, unshaken. She spoke with clarity, listened with intention, and carried herself with a quiet strength that was impossible to ignore. She wasn't a beginner. And this time, I didn't feel the need to lead or fix or control. I felt challenged. Seen. Equal. It terrified me. Because being with someone like her meant I couldn't hide behind old habits. I couldn't retreat into comfort. I had to show up fully, honestly, and consistently. I had to be better, not just for her, but for myself. There were moments when I almost walked away. When the weight of that responsibility felt too heavy. But something kept me there. Maybe it was the memory of who I used to be. Or maybe it was the realization that this discomfort, this growth, was exactly what I had been missing. For the first time, love didn't feel like a place to rest. It felt like a place to rise. And slowly, something beautiful began to form. We built something real. Not perfect, not effortless, but honest. We disagreed, we challenged each other, we pushed each other to grow. And in that process, I discovered a version of myself I didn't know existed. Stronger. Braver. More alive. Months later, I saw Sabine again. It wasn't planned. I ran into her at a bookstore, of all places. She recognized me instantly, her sharp eyes softening just a little. We exchanged a few polite words, and then she asked how I had been. For a moment, I hesitated. The old me would have given a simple, safe answer. But not anymore. I've been learning, I said. About myself. About what it means to actually show up. She studied me quietly, as if trying to read between the lines. And then, unexpectedly, she smiled. Not a wide, proud smile. Just a small, knowing one. Good, she said. That's all I ever wanted you to do. As I walked away, I realized something important. Her words hadn't been meant to break me. They had been meant to wake me up. If this story touched your heart even a little, take a moment to like, comment, and share it with someone who might need to hear it today. Stories like this remind us that growth, no matter how painful, is always worth it. And before we close, here's something special. Comment below with one word that describes your journey right now. Because sometimes, a single word can carry an entire story. That day in the kitchen didn't end my story. It began it.